Scott Garner and Mike Stern back with you here in Fort Worth, where Nolan leads visiting St. Anthony 35-7, and it's been a steady dose of Luke Alves and David Authier that Nolan has been running at St. Anthony and really putting on a clinic about how to run the football.
Well, they've run the power, they've run the counter, they've done just about anything they want to do. We've seen some toss sweeps. This is a dominant Nolan team that is poised for another deep run.
We heard Coach Silas talking to Mike Stern there just before he went into the locker room. What did you take out of what he said, and what adjustments can they make?
Well, yeah, he mentioned it. They want to try to be able to run inside, but it hasn't been there tonight. They've had a couple of good runs, but it has been few and far between, and they can't get it on the edge because Nolan's linebackers are so fast.
St. Anthony has shown a little bit of speed when they've been able to get the ball in the hand of Justin Mayer, but Coach Silas also mentioned they've had a couple of drop passes that have kind of stopped progress. Not that would make the difference here when they trail 35-7.
Yeah, they did. They had a couple of early drops, but at the same time, they know that Nolan, that they've got so much talent in so many different spots. There would have had to have been 48 drops to make up for the 28 points.
So on the other side, what do you think Coach Pradam is saying to his team?
Let's keep running the ball. Hey, let's keep doing what we do. Hey, our offensive line is dominating. The timing, working on the timing. I wouldn't be surprised to see Nolan come out, Pete, and throw the ball a little bit. They did that, too, in the first half. They didn't need to. They could literally line it up and run the ball every down and still be able to score regularly and often, but they know that they still have to maintain a certain polish on that passing game.
I'm guessing that Father Richard Villa is pretty happy about what he's seeing here tonight with Nolan leading 35-7, and he's standing by with Mike Stern.
I'm with Father Richard Avila, the president of Nolan Catholic. Father Avila, great to see you again.
Great to see you, Mike. It's my pleasure, my honor to be here this evening.
What a wonderful night. The football team's winning.
It couldn't be better.
You've got more than 1,000 people here, it looks like.
Easily, no problem. The weather's absolutely fabulous. This is football weather altogether.
Talk a little bit about where you sit 10,000 feet above the school. Talk about the greatness that is Nolan Catholic.
Well, Nolan's been around for about 52 years. It's a great school. It goes all the way back to 1961. We have about 950 students. One of the more outstanding things about us, of course, is our sports program. And another thing that's absolutely great about us is in academics. One of the things that's outstanding is our ecology program, which has been in place for 30 years, longest running high school ecology program I think in the nation, for that matter. And currently, within the last 5 years, one of the great things we put in place is pre-engineering program and robotics. And that
what would you say characterizes the Nolan Catholic student?
I think the thing that characterizes a Nolan Catholic student is basically growing in their faith formation, forming community. That's the big thing that's been on campus. In fact, that's the number one priority, forming community, forming faith in each of our students. I think that is absolutely key and paramount, the reason to why we're actually here.
Do you sometimes marvel, as I do, that these student athletes, and I'm talking about the girls volleyball players as well as the boys football players and basketball players, that they can manage their academics and their athletics so wonderfully?
Well, that's one of the things that's really outstanding about these kids is that they're able to plan their timing between their co-curricular activities, their athletics, and their academics. And I can tell you one thing that we hear from alumni coming back all the time is that when they go away to college, they wind up helping their roommates and other students get through their studies, get through their papers, learning how to, because they don't know what they're doing. So our students are the ones that are actually helping them. And that's one of the greatest things that we've found with our students when they come back.
And we also see the extracurricular activities that work here, not only with the football team, but the Norsemen.
Oh, the Norsemen, the band. The band has been, the last 10 years, has won the state championship in the Texas Private School Musician Association. And in the last 14 years, they've actually won it in first place. The choir is another outstanding group. The Norsemen, which has been the Yell team for the last 5 years, has been absolutely terrific. They make a big difference in the morale for the team, the morale for the fans, and they are just outstanding.
And you've got, what, about 1,000, maybe 1,500 people who comprise not only of students, but also of faculty, staff, and parents.
Oh, absolutely. We don't have the fan support, the parent support, it's absolutely 120% from the starting and the get-go line. I'm telling you, they're absolutely terrific.
You must be very proud right now. Your team is up 35-7 at the half.
Well, I'm very proud, but we remain humble, we remain strong, remain disciplined, and we remain focused. And that's how you win games.
Well, Father Richard Avila, you're an outstanding president here. at Nolan Catholic, and we thank you for joining us during our halftime extravaganza.
Well, I thank you for this opportunity to speak with you tonight. It's been a great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Avila. Pete, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike. And I suspect that's the same message that Coach Pradhan is preaching, is to stay humble, stay focused, stay disciplined. Nolan, impressive in the first half. They lead St. Anthony 35-7. We've got more special guests lined up, plus stats and highlights coming your way on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. On a perfect autumn evening in Fort Worth, Nolan has begun their march toward a possible state championship with a 35-7 lead over St. Anthony here in the first round of the TAP State playoffs. Nolan using a powerful ground game to overwhelm the Yellow Jackets through the first 24 minutes of action. Mike Stern is standing by with the TAP's executive director, Brian Brunselmeyer.
I'm with Brian Bunselmeyer, the executive director of TAPS, and Brian is kind of like our new best friend because Time Warner Cable Sports Channel has entered into a partnership with TAPS, and so far it's going absolutely beautifully.
I can't think of a better way to start it. We've had 5 or 6 weeks of football, followed up with a great volleyball tournament last weekend.
The volleyball tournament last weekend in Corsicana was one of the greatest athletic events that I've ever had the pleasure of broadcasting.
I think it was 3 days, 15 games, capped by one of the best volleyball matches I've ever seen. The crowd was into it, the kids were into it, and the kids played phenomenally.
Austin Brentwood going up against San Jacinto from Amarillo in the 3A. That was the final match, and it went to 5 sets. And the 5 sets, I believe, went past 15 points.
It did. San Jacinto's claim to fame is they've been in the finals and never lost. They got up 2, gave up 2, and then they had to fight back to a 19-17 win in the 5th.
And then we saw the emotion, the sheer joy, the sorrow, such as it was by the losing team, expressed by the losing team. But as I said during the broadcast, there were no losers at this tournament.
There were no losers, and it expresses the value of high school athletics. We do what we do so the kids can learn to win, they can lose, and they can lose with dignity and pride and move on to the next. But the handshakes afterwards were genuine. They knew they'd played a good competitor.
Yes, they did. Tonight's football game, we have a 35-7 game, Nolan Catholic in front. Great crowd here.
It's a great crowd, another great pastoral setting in TAPS. And, you know, once again, you've got the dance teams, you've got the bands, you've got the cheerleaders, the fans. It's all inclusive.
Now, where do you see TAPS going in the next few years? It looks like it's growing tremendously.
I think our offerings will continue to grow. Our competitions will continue to get better. We're adding cheerleading and dance next year. We'll be adding a drumline competition. So fine arts and athletics are continuing to grow.
Now, in a couple of weeks, we'll be broadcasting the championship series in Corsicana, December 6th and 7th, I believe. And Nolan Catholic may very well be there.
They could be back for a return visit, but you know, all 3 of those games will be highly competitive.
Yes, and we're looking forward to that. What we've noticed about TAPS is the athletics, the student athletes, very, very competitive. They bring a tremendous amount of pride and a tremendous amount of drive and initiative to their athletic endeavors.
I think the school colors are still important. I think they come out and fight with all they have, and at the end of the day, they know that they've given their best shot.
Now, just looking at you, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that at some point in your life, you've played competitive basketball.
I would say I played. My coaches would say I participated. So that was where I was.
What was that like? What was that like playing in an interscholastic athletic event?
Back in the 70s when I grew up, I enjoyed the participation. I enjoyed being with the teammates. And I think those are the bonds I continue today. That's why I got into coaching and doing what I do now.
It's a great job that you have, executive director, sitting atop a great organization, TAPS.
It's the easiest job in the world. I follow a gentleman in Ed Burleson who set a great stage. He followed Johnny Henderson, and the TAPS organization was built to provide opportunity for these kids. I'm just glad I get to travel to games, shake some hands, and do an interview every now and then.
And you do the interviews very well, I have to tell you.
Thank you, sir.
Brian Bunselmeyer, the executive director of TAPS, thanks so much for joining our halftime extravaganza.
Thank you, sir. We look forward to Corsicana.
Us too. Back to you, Pete.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah, we really are looking forward to that, and we had a chance to when we covered the volleyball tournament last week to see that football stadium, and it should be a great environment. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. Nolan, of course, a regular in that state championship game in TAPS, and it certainly looks like they've got another potential state champion here tonight, leading St. Anthony 35-7. We've got first half highlights coming up next on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.